Hi guys, welcome to the Savvy Money Show with me, your host Sean. If you find any of today's information informative, please hit that lovely like button. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification will let you know when any new videos get updated. Well, the House has approved a new round of stimulus checks worth $1,200 each. Doesn't affect me personally because I'm in the UK, but let me know how it affects you. There is one way it will affect me in the UK, and that's how I can profit off it. And the way we do it is we trade off it. And as every reaction is an overreaction, we trade the reaction. Now, first, we're going to go through these pretty quickly. No deep dives today. So you will have to do your own research on some of these. But the first one is Starbucks. Starbucks opening up, they're starting with drive-thrus. Now, they're pretty expensive coffees, and part of the reason for that expense is a lot of people wanting to use their internet. And a lot of the expense involved with Starbucks was they had to keep clean their premises, they had to provide stable Wi-Fi, and people would take up their tables for the day because they would run their business or their operation from there, and they just order one coffee an hour, and it was cheap office space for them. Not anymore. The first thing is, you go to one of their drive-thrus, there's a huge queue. Secondly, because people are just glad to get there, not all of their locations are having to open. They're socially distancing their locations. They're opening, so they're saving money that way. Thirdly, their staff. They don't need as many staff, and they're not putting as many staff on because they don't need a staff member to clean the toilet. They don't need to put the Wi-Fi on, so they're keeping the Wi-Fi off, and they're not paying a Wi-Fi company until they're able to open fully the restaurant. Now, the last bit is their rents. A lot of landlords have reduced rents to help struggling business. And that Starbucks isn't struggling, but because they're a big business, they're been in a great position to negotiate a reduction in rent. Once all this is over, you think they're going to be paying full rent? So let's set them up long term. They've also negotiated a deal with a couple of non-meat companies. Sorry about that. Such as what is it? So Good Chewy Moon for snacks that you wouldn't have heard of, and I believe they've got something in the pipeline with Beyond Meat for some snacks as well. And people who don't usually go to Starbucks because they can't afford it, they usually go to a cheaper one, will be thinking, I've got this $1,200, I'll go to Starbucks. The second one, and this needs no explanation, Tesla. A lot of people love Tesla. They love to jump on the bandwagon with Tesla, but they don't have the money. They wish they'd got in earlier. They don't have the money. They're suddenly... And remember, some of these people also, they have the money. They don't want to waste the money. They don't want to waste their money. So they're being given this money that they don't need. So what they do, they think, I'll invest it. Doesn't cost me anything. I'm being given it by the government. that's the wrong attitude, because where do you think the government's going to get the money from? It's going to come from your taxes, from your future taxes. You'll be paying for it in another way. But anyway, they will buy a share in Tesla, maybe 1.5 shares, now that you've got fractional shares. And that's another way. Now, sorry about this. The next one is going to be Home Depot. Now, this is Google Trends, shows Google searches recently. What do we do when we're off? We fix up things. I know when I'm on leave from work, if I'm not going away, because I don't go away every time I'm on leave from work, I end up fixing up one thing around the house at least. We don't have Home Depot over in the UK. We have like Wix or Screwfix and B&Q. But in the US, Home Depot. And this is before the stimulus. These are Google searches before the stimulus. And once the stimulus comes in, people will have more money to spend. They can do more projects. And it's not just Home Depot. You also have Lowe's, ticker symbol LOW. So this is ticker symbol HD, ticker symbol LW. And this is also, and it matches it, the Google Trends for home paint. And if you check the Google Trends for a lot of these things, such as gardening and anything, they all match. You know, where are you going to go if you're going to want to buy compost, soil, flowers? You're not going to go to a number of different places. If you want to do your garden and you're looking to fix your house up, you want to make one trip because you're supposed to be socially distancing. You don't want to go to a place for stuff for reconstructing your house, and then to a garden place for your garden supplies. You want to go to one place for it all. And don't forget, construction has been allowed during this, both in the UK and the USA. So both of these places would have been doing well for that. Now, the next, tanker stocks. I know I talk about these a lot because I get asked about these a lot. These are the Google searches for all tanker stocks. See how it shot up recently? Yeah. Look at it. This interest over time. It's like it's shot up massively. Now, I've seen my favourite videos have been oil tanker videos. Now, I've tried to put out some, and I put out more often oil tanker videos, but I haven't just become an oil tanker channel, because then the people who aren't interested in oil tankers would just leave, get annoyed. And I hope you've been happy with the split on it. Now, you know my feelings on DHT and Frontline over NAT and Euronav. The thing is, because of the hype around Euronav and NAT, I think I can see them having a short-term rise. Now, because in the UK, the most popular free trading app, Trading 212, only allows you to buy NAT. I had to search around for Stake, which is another trading app that allows you to buy all the other tanker stocks. Not everyone does that. And if you want links to any of the free trading apps, they're in the description below. NAT reports their earnings on Monday, just in case you're wondering. The next one will be Boeing. Now it's dropped from between $300, $400 to $120. Now, I spoke about this the other day. They received a $2.6 billion contract for missiles, and they're still at 120. Why? Because the aircraft arm is dragging them down. They have announced that their backlog is the lowest it's ever been. Now that's worrying, because people can say, oh, they don't have as many planes to make. Yes, and that's the problem. They're in the business of making planes and having a backlog. These companies work off a backlog. It shows there's less demand for planes. And remember, they don't just make the 737 MAX. They brought out 2 new planes, and they're making those planes, and there's not a backlog for them. That's what's worrying. Delta have just announced they're getting rid of their older planes. They're scrapping them, and yet Boeing's backlog is at the lowest. They're not buying. Well, they might be buying from them, but if they are, they're their own customer. It means that they're getting a lot of the deals cancelled, and they're not getting enough new deals made. Don't get me wrong, they are getting new deals, but just not enough. And that on top of major airline going to go bust. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that's going to make more people come and buy it? No. It means one or the other, that airline, all their slots are going to go up for auction. So these airlines, knowing this, aren't going to go out buying planes. They are going to wait for this airline to go bust, buy up all their slots on the cheap at auction, so they can make more money, and then possibly buy their planes on the cheap and their assets on the cheap for pennies on the dollar, rather than go and pay retail to Boeing. I was chastised in the comments section before when YouTube wanted to mark some as spam, but I had to unmark them, because one thing I like is a healthy debate. I don't delete comments because they disagree with my own. Because I said, if you're buying into them because of their defense arm, you should go into somewhere like General Dynamics. And then a week later, so did Jim Cramer. I then said, well, if you don't like General Dynamics, what about Raytheon Technology? Both General Dynamics and Raytheon are as undervalued as Boeing. They both pay a dividend. They're not reliant on the aircraft arm. Yes, it's undervalued, but so are the other two. And I'm not the only one who thinks it. It would have come up by now on the news of the contract. The airlines would have come up on the news that the government have given a contract. But I'll go into that soon, because the airlines are also one. Let me see now. Delta, yes, Delta is the 5th most popular stock on Robinhood. It's at $19 a share, hit $17 a share for a stock that was $22 to $30 a share after coronavirus, or the Rona, for our friends across the pond. And you have Southwest Airlines, which is basically, along with Delta, now they're offering $49 flights just to get money in. Now, the government has offered the oil industry to a bailout, and they said to them they're going to buy a billion barrels of oil for reserves. I can see the government, so that they don't have to bail them out again, so that people ain't up in arms. Why are you giving these corporations money and not me? That we have to pay for from our taxes, and they'll end up being profitable again, and we won't see results. They will be purchasing flights, forward flights. So basically, they'll be giving them money in exchange for vouchers for flights. They've imposed on them restrictions such as no middle seats, which will cut them by 67%. They said you can if you want up the prices, but you do that, less people are going to fly. Now, you can, I suppose, say to them, you can have the choice of middle seats if you want, but it's up to them. However, Delta, that's the next one, because you have the people who are protesting against the lockdown, who are, oh, well, I'll fly anyway. You'll have the people who, if it's cheap enough, I'll fly. And you'll have the people who, I just want to go anywhere. And here's one. You've got Winnebago. And that is one because the reason for that is, sorry about this. The reason for that is people want to travel. You can see that when the cruises first said we're going to travel in May, now it's November, cruise bookings went up 600%. Now, they are usually what's known as an old people's thing, and give a small dividend, and the PE ratio is within the range. But I can see people, not just old people, but families who want to go cross country, who traditionally fly, getting one of these and travelling across there because they see it safer. And once they've bought a Winnebago, they'll see it as an investment, and they won't do it anymore. I just remember that old Robin Williams RV. If you want to find out what hell is, try driving across the country with your family. Yeah. And you end up with a hilarious thing, which you always did with Robin Williams. I think these could make a small jump. They're an unknown one, but something worth looking into. I'll have to do a bigger dive into it. Now, this one needs no introduction and no reasoning why. There's a couple of reasons why. It's on the business side and on the retail side. Apple. Now it's high price. Warren Buffett saw them too high at $320. before COVID-19. However, the reason people who don't traditionally invest in stocks suddenly given $1,200 can buy 4 Apple stocks. Hey, you also have the retail side. The thing is, for me, that's no longer 24, that's 26 now. As I said, Yahoo Finance isn't reliable on these things. You don't buy for the dividend, but the dividend is nice if you can get it reinvested. It's the 10th most popular stock on Robinhood. You have to look at the whole business. Now, you have Apple TV. During this period, people were talking about Disney Plus and Netflix in the war and forgetting that Apple TV has also made great subscriber base as well. Now, you've got Apple TV, you've got iPads, you've got the Apple Watch, you've got the AirPods, you've got the MacBook. You know, to tell the truth, does anyone own a desktop anymore outside of the office? I think they all own a laptop now, because the laptops are so powerful and you can take it with you wherever you want. You know, my laptop is a 1 terabyte and it costs next to nothing. You have the iPhones. You'll have the people who have an iPhone 7 or iPhone 8. The iPhone 7 will be slowing down. You know, they'll be thinking themselves, for the last few years, they'll be thinking themselves, I can't justify a new iPhone. I'll have to get a second-hand one. Then this stimulus bill will come out and they'll think, oh, I can get a brand new iPhone. And then when 5G comes out, it's ready for 5G. Yeah. So that's the next one. My next one should be no surprise. It will be Visa. Now, Visa and MasterCard take 0.1% of every single transaction. So Visa and MasterCard. More transactions because people have more money float in their pocket. Simple as that. So this is going to be purely business side. You got Visa and MasterCard. Sorry about that. You don't want to be looking up at my face. You don't want to be looking at my face. My wife doesn't want to be looking at my face. That's why she likes the COVID-19. It forces me to put a mask on. Made you laugh, hit the like button. Now, Visa and MasterCard, they're classed as great stable companies anyway. But I'm talking about the business side. There will have been a spike through COVID-19 because cash is considered dirty. Now, I pulled out. The first thing I did when lockdown started was take out some money because I was worried that we've had trouble before where banking apps have gone down, banking systems have gone down just for a short time, and then the money in the ATMs have disappeared because people have withdrawn it all. So I withdrew some money, and then when I tried to use it, the people in the shops have gone, haven't you got a card? Are you able to use a card? Because they don't want to touch it, even though they're wearing gloves. So I think Visa and MasterCard and PayPal as well. And the funny thing is, the last one's going to be old traditional Amazon, Walmart and eBay for different reasons. Walmart and Target, people always spend money in there. Nah, you'll always get the people looking to save money, no matter what. Amazon and eBay, well, they've seen a rise in sales due to this, because people can't go out, they're ordering more in. And to tell the truth, people have been piling into Amazon, and I understand why. I mean, it's overvalued in my opinion. I gave it an intrinsic value of 2,400, and I don't agree with that. I think it's overvalued. But as for people to work out, the thing is, since this, Amazon spent years building up its customer service. During this period, I found its customer service has been terrible. And I'm not talking about the wait for customer service, because you expect that. I just think the whole thing has been terrible. And they have prioritized their, what do I say? How do I say? Their business sellers over their customers. And whereas eBay, their customer service, and you've got to remember, eBay hasn't spent all the time, effort and money that Amazon has on customer service. Their customer service has remained static for the past decade. Throughout this, it's not only stayed the same, but at some points it's improved. And yet everyone's piling into Amazon. I'd understand if they were piling into Amazon, eBay and PayPal. But they're piling into Amazon because it's a FANG stock. That's why pre-earnings, I did a deep dive and went into Facebook and Google when everyone was telling me don't go into Facebook and Google. Post earnings, when they jumped, I sold them. And people were saying, why are you selling them now? You took a chance. I've gone, it weren't a chance. I looked behind the curtain, but next quarter is when the advertising will hit them. But they could be offset by the rest of the business. But I want Facebook down below $200, and I want Google to be lower. And especially now that Google's being hit with an investigation. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. If you have, please hit that like button, get this video out to more people, helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.